I am always on the lookout for places of interest to visit in and around London. I am discovering many places that I did not know existed, even though I have lived in London all of my life. This happened last month when we visited the former Croydon Airport in South London. The site is now mostly built over, with housing, industrial units, playing fields and parkland. The terminal building is now used as a business centre, and the booking hall, 2 small rooms, and the control tower are where the Croydon Airport Society have their displays. The Society hold their open day once a month, and I was expecting to find out some facts about what I mistakenly thought was a minor airfield of limited importance, but probably worth visiting for a day out. I realised I was wrong when I checked their website prior to the visit, which shows that Croydon Airport was the first international airport in the world, and the source of all our methods of aircraft and passenger management. As we came along Purley Way on the bus, there came into view the unmissable large white de Havilland Heron airplane on the forecourt, held aloft on struts over the path leading to the terminal building entrance, now called Airport House. We entered the booking hall, which remains unaltered from the past. The central columnar departure board showing flight times, not world times, as our guide pointed out, has long since gone, and the space is occupied by a modern reception desk. All the walls are covered in photos, prints, posters, and other framed exhibits, illustrating the history of the airport. While waiting for the tour to start, we sat on very comfortable sofas and watched a video of archive footage of the planes. Our tour began in the rear corridor, with many more photos and prints on the walls. Our volunteer guide described the background and history of many of the images, and being an older man and a long-term resident of Croydon, he was able to describe some of the wartime events from personal experience as a youngster. Next, we went up the rear staircase, with yet more prints and posters on the walls, and came to a small room full of exhibits. The first thing I noticed was the giant four-blade wooden propeller positioned between the windows, and we heard about how they were designed in two pieces so that they could be transported easily and flown out as replacements anywhere in the world. Another room leads off this one and has even more items, mostly in glass cabinets, as well as several original airplane seats. One is a very early wicker chair, and another wooden one has deep floral cushions to make the passengers feel right at home. Air travel in those days was a huge novelty, and only for the very wealthy, although the earliest flights were far from comfortable, and both pilots and passengers might have been open to the weather. Our guide told us that outfits could be hired from various department stores for passengers to protect themselves against the cold and wind. Finally, we went up to the control tower, built in 1928, the first in the world. One corner is a separate glazed section, set up to show how it would have looked when in operation, with all the furniture and equipment needed to handle all the planes and flights. There are more display cases and tabletop models of aircraft. To one side was a family with children, eagerly crowding around a computer screen. They were engrossed in a flight simulator program, and their young boy was sitting in the aircraft seat, holding the control column, with the volunteer helping him fly his way around the virtual countryside. After the tour, we were free to wander around at our own pace and make our way down again, with time to inspect everything more closely. Croydon Aerodrome began in 1915 with the merging of two adjacent airfields, Beddington, which was used to launch attacks against Zeppelins, and Whaddon, which was used for testing new aircraft. In 1918, the National Aircraft Factory No. 1 was built here, and Croydon became the base for the Royal Flying Corps Home Defence. After the war came the beginnings of civilian air travel, and it was then known as the Airport of London. Britain's first national airline, Imperial Airways, later to become British Airways, had its beginnings here in 1924. The airport became known as London Terminal Aerodrome Croydon and was the centre for aviation, engineering, innovation. Radio position fixing was developed, which was the forerunner of all the subsequent air traffic control systems. Croydon's senior radio control officer, Fred Mockford, coined the word Mayday, which is now the standard international distress term. As most flights at Croydon were to and from France, this term was based on the French Venez, Mayday, come and help me, to make it easily recognisable in both countries. The word is always said 3 times to prevent confusion with any other similar sounding word or phrase. Many record-breaking flights started in Croydon, including those by Alan Cobham, Charles Lindbergh, Bert Hinkler, and Amy Johnson. Air traffic increased over the years until the Second World War, when the airport had to cease hosting civil airlines, and in 1939 it returned to its former role of defence from air attack, and was renamed RAF Croydon. The area suffered a major Luftwaffe bombing attack in 1940. By 1943, RAF Transport Command was moving large numbers of troops to and from Europe. After the war, the airport reverted to civil airline use, but the short runways and the lack of room to expand meant it was unable to retain its role as London's international airport, and it closed on the 30th of September 1959. This place is a real treasure trove of information and history, and of immense importance in the history of London and of world aviation. Although the areas for display are somewhat limited, they are packed with as much material as can be fitted in, and one wishes that more space was available for all their other archive material as well. It is entirely fitting that they are based on their home turf, literally, and the only thing missing are the wings in the sky. We left Airport House with our minds full of the sights and imagined sounds of 44 years of flying history. The airplane parked outside now looked completely different, now that we had learned something of its past. I felt I could almost hear its engines revving up, ready to take to the skies again. But it was, in fact, a couple of motorbikes with noisy exhausts, taking advantage of being the first to move off from the green traffic lights and take off down the wide, straight, pearly way, which cuts through two open green spaces, just like the tarmac runways that used to be here.